What would cause Westville correctional inmates to want to assert and testify that Richard Allen confessed to murdering Abigail in Libby? What would make a Westville correctional psychologist by the name of Monica Waller want to testify for the state of Indiana that Richard Allen confessed to the murders of Libby and Abigail and gave details of the crime scene that only the murderer would know, when in fact he never did? What would make a Westville correctional officer or officers want to testify that Richard Allen confessed to the murders of Abigail in Libby? What would make a Westville correctional warden want to assert that Richard Allen confessed to him that he killed Abigail in Libby? What would make a former employee of Delphi, Indiana Police Department's so-called firearms expert want to trace a fired round, not an unspent bullet, but a fired round? What would motivate her to trace that round to Richard Allen's gun? I'm about to answer that question. This question has not been posed by anybody else on social media but me. Everybody wants to turn out videos quick for money. I need money. I love money. But I'm not going to turn out no BS for no money. I'm not going to do anything for money. Have we forgot that the state of Indiana versus Richard Allen offered a $325,000 reward leading to the capture of Bridge Guy, the arrest of Bridge Guy, and the conviction of Bridge Guy? Now you see where all these witnesses come from and how they are motivated. There is a $325,000 motivation for everything that the state has put on. It is odd that all of your witnesses coming from a prison where when Richard Allen hit Westville Correctional Facility, there was guards wearing the ordnance patch. There is not one shred of evidence throughout the trial that placed Richard Allen at the murder scene that points the finger that he is the perpetrator. There are only prosecutor theories of what they say happened. The unspent round has not been proven to be at the scene of the crime when it was happened. It has not been shown to be part of the crime because it was 2 inches underground, people. About that. 2 inches underground. The bullet could have been there 2 or 3 days, a week before. But here's the crazy thing. If the state of Indiana, all these so-called professional, seasoned veterans been doing this for years, why isn't there any photo of this evidence being retrieved at the alleged crime scene? Why? It is my conclusion and theory that the bullet was something that was made up. So, because when you got to the scene, you really couldn't make any sense of it. My theory is it's a hoax. This is what you want to do in hopes of trapping somebody at a later date. It's just a theory. The reason why I'm theorizing that, because you get to a murder scene, why wouldn't you take pictures of the relevant things that you think is part of the murder? This is where the integrity of the investigation is protected. So we don't have a picture of the unspent round. We don't even know how to assess something like that. You want us to assume that it was a dead body at the scene of the crime when you arrived, but you don't have photos of that dead body. That's what you're telling me. So when you look at the fact that all the state witnesses come from this Westville Correctional Facility, in the fact that they said this looked like a ritualistic killing, I'm not saying it was, not saying it is. I'm merely saying that, do y'all see now why the bulk of the state evidence and all their evidence is within a prison setting, in police departments, nothing else? The eyewitnesses that was on the bridge never pointed at Richard Allen. All of a sudden, people trying to say, the prosecutor trying to say, and so-called experts trying to say, eyewitnesses is your less reliable people. What? No. The eyewitness is most reliable. Richard Allen is 5'5". They say the guy was tall. 5'5" don't look like 5'10". 5'5" don't look like 6'1", 6'2". So everybody that saw Richard Allen on the bridge did not say that he looked like the bridge guy. Completely different. So what the state knew that they couldn't prove, they already knew this way before trial. We have to figure out how to get evidence to put him there, because we don't have it. And it started when they arrested him. When he kept going back talking and talking to him, they just found that kind of strange, to be honest with you. I felt some type of way about that myself. That's why I'm going to give you my opinion. And it's going to be given before they deliberate and before they come out with a decision, because they are deliberating right now. Okay. Now, when you look at the fact that nothing that the state put on through the trial proved their burden, they didn't even come close to proving it. So what they did, they started creating evidence, testimony, so-called experts. You are very desperate when you start using inmates and guards to say that this man confessed. I said from the beginning, when they started saying that they can't keep Richard Allen safe in a county jail, and they need to whisk him off to a prison setting, I said they need to get him down there to get a confession. People, this is how they do it in real life. This is why I'm able to tell you. This is why I was able to say what they was looking for, and they got it. Check this out. They got that, and this is what they build upon. But see, they no longer want the truth. They need a conviction. Because if Richard Allen get found not guilty, they cannot try him again. They cannot ever try him again. I don't care if they find evidence to say he done it. They can never try him again, because double jeopardy will have attached. So they start getting these witnesses. Think about it, people. If you remove him going to prison, they don't have anything to go to trial with. So when Judge Benjamin Dina when they arrested Richard Allen, think about this, people. Where is the evidence that, let me put it like this here. First, Benjamin Dina said he feared for his life and his family. Why? At this point in the game, when you arrest Richard Allen, what would make you fear for your wife and your family and yourself? Then the sheriff said, hey, I can't keep him safe here. But think about this, people. This man did not have an attorney. He did not have a chance to address this at the hearing. Why didn't Judge Benjamin Dina say, no, we're going to appoint you an attorney for this particular instance so your rights can be protected? It's because they had an agenda, people. This is a good old boy network. A bunch of racists, a bunch of small town clowns, okay? And let me tell y'all something about prison doctors and prison psychologists. They are very much a part of the penal system. They are not independent. They're a bunch of cowards. They kiss asses and they're gonna do what the guards and the wardens say because they just want to get along. Medical judgments are not judgments in 99% of the time. Matter of fact, 75% of the time they're not making medical judgments. So they are not a detached body, because if they was truly independent, they would have a problem with the prison guards and the warden, because they want to be able to control everything in that prison down to the doctors, the medication, the diagnosis. So you can't trust that. I've been there, folks. You can't trust it. Now, when you look at the fact that throughout the whole trial, they got desperate. They got one of the state troopers to say after we enhanced this video, that voice matches Richard Allen. All this is made up. Remember, they had the FBI on the team at first. We already know FBI got a lot of assets at their disposal. So why didn't they have the FBI enhance that? Why didn't the FBI say that the voice was? Actually, one of the FBI agents that got the search warrants for Ron Logan Holmes said that his voice was Ronald Logan voice was not inconsistent with the bridge guy voice. So as you can see, the state of Indiana is just making up evidence. They just outright lying. And they have to do this because this is the only way they can slant and have a chance at a conviction. Everything that the state of Indiana put on was a lie. Everything. And they needed to get this in front of the jury because they need a conviction. See, once you convicted, you can attack it and get it reversed, but they need a conviction. The reason why the state of Indiana needed a conviction, because without a conviction, there will be immediate ramifications for the arrest and putting him in Westfield Correctional Facility in a form of a lawsuit. You know what I found very strange as well about when they took Richard Allen and switched him off to the Westfield Correctional Facility? This is just my opinion. His wife appears to not have attempted to get an attorney on a pro bono or on a contingency basis. Nothing was done. So I started thinking, just maybe Richard Allen's wife was feeding them information as a confidential informant. Pay close attention. But the public haven't been told about this here. Let me break it down another way. The state doesn't have to tell you about a confidential informant as long as they're not testifying. Let's assume that if Richard Allen, well, let me just go and I'm going to just do it in all in one video. Do I think he killed Abigail and Libby? Yeah, I think he killed Abigail and Libby. And I'm going to tell you why. But just hold up. Let me stick with the wife. When they arrested Richard Allen and got him locked up, she knew he was locked up. This is your husband. You would know as his husband if those clothes that Bridge guy had on was actually Richard Allen clothes. Now, although the state called eyewitnesses and they could not point out Richard Allen, in my opinion, I do believe, it's just my opinion, that Richard Allen killed Abigail and Libby. Well, let me change that. I know that he did. He killed him. Now, a lot of people saying, well, why he didn't leave any blood? He didn't leave any DNA. He didn't leave anything. Well, first of all, you need to understand that he put himself there in a vicinity, not at the murder scene, but in that area with those type of clothes on. Just pay close attention. He kept offering his assistants, want to answer questions, you freely to go down there. That's something that a killer would do. They want to try to see what they missed or if they missed anything. I thought that was very strange for him to go down there and offer, yeah, I was there and I had these clothes on. It's not by coincidence that somebody else had on the very same thing that he had on. He is the killer. Okay? Now, the evidence don't show he the killer. I just want you to understand I'm going strictly on the evidence and what the state burdens. They don't have anything. And the jury should come back with a not guilty verdict. But when they start manufacturing witnesses, like that's his voice, yeah, he did, that can create a problem for the jury to where it can go guilty or not guilty. But legally speaking, if they go based on the law and the juries, here's the thing. The juries are the judge of what to believe and what not to believe, what to accept as a fact and what not to accept. It's up to them. This is why they don't want no attorneys, nobody with legal experience in the law on a jury trial. They don't want you on there because if you was on there, they know you would take control in that jury room and you would show people, look, they haven't met their burden. So I do believe that Richard Allen's wife is a confidential informant for the prosecution, and she has been for a long time. You won't know who got the reward money, but we know this got to be shelled out. This is why I believe Richard Allen's wife is a confidential informant in regards to the crime that he's standing for trial. Is because they know if anybody know, you know. Okay? And when Richard Allen was being somewhat interrogated when he came down to talk to him, why would he let his wife leave? Some happened where his wife had to leave. They should have left together. So I got to thinking about, this is the point where she became suspect. She became suspect with me a long time ago because this is your husband. And if you don't think he done it, why haven't you got an attorney, file a lawsuit so you can see this man? She didn't do any of this. Now, I'm just going off purely my speculation. That sounds like a weak woman with a weak man who know that her man did this. That's just me talking. That's just my theory. At this point, today is November the 7th. It's 9:26 p.m. at night. When the jury come back, I expect them to come back with a guilty verdict. Hands down, unanimous. Why? It's because he have a lot of evidence that has been fabricated against him that the jury is not going to be able to distinguish that, hey, you just didn't carry your burden. There is a reasonable doubt, but I can honestly say I believe those jurors are being paid off under the cover with some of that so-called reward money. You won't never hear about it. It's just a theory. But you can expect a guilty verdict. Now, when you look at Richard Allen's wife, she has done nothing to really advocate his defense. Nothing. The purpose in Richard Allen attorneys know that his wife has gave confidential informant information to Nicholas McLeland and law enforcement concerning Richard Allen. And here is how I know they know. Why would you let the prosecutors, this is discovery, that you should already knew this here. Why would you let them come up in there, play certain videos, then you ask the judge, can you play the other videos, but you haven't pared down the dates and times to show that it's relevant? See, it's a lot of things that the defense did in here that lets me know that Richard Allen defense is working with the prosecution to convict Richard Allen. Why would you let transcripts be read about so-called confessions of Richard Allen, and you can't cross-examine these so-called inmates and guards, etc.? Why would you allow that? It's a violation of due process. That's prejudicial in itself. Richard Allen's wife, at some point when he was being interrogated, they say that she went back into the room and she just hugged him and got away from him like, oh yeah, you know you did. Well, it's like this here. When she did that, that's when I knew that she done already told the prosecution, he did this, he disposed of the clothes. She know he did this. But they not gonna, it looks bad if she just come out now and say, yeah, it makes her look a part of the crime. So the best way to keep her name clean is to be confidential and let the prosecutors and the police know he did it. I know. I just didn't want to say nothing, but it was done. So this is why they start fabricating all this evidence against Richard Allen. Remember, the end justify the means. So today, I'm just saying, in my opinion, based on my investigation, Richard Allen's wife turned state and fed them confidential information that he was definitely the killer and that he done told her and that he was the killer. She's seen things. So to keep her name clean is to get some of this money when it's all said and done. We ain't gonna use that. We just gonna, they had this information at some point. That's why they picked Richard Allen up. That's why they went and did that. At them little interviews that he was offering to give them, his wife left. And she went, can my wife go home? Well, because she asked me, can she go home? At some point she extracted herself from him. And this, when she kept talking to law enforcement. So I'm gonna end it today. I'm gonna end this video tonight. Expect a guilty verdict for Richard Allen. But if I believe that a guilty verdict will come down. But I don't want to see one come down because they haven't proved their case. But welcome back to Speak Van Holden. If you like, subscribe and share.